Today's Inside Look, and joining us for that now is Gabriel Rifkin, the director of the Middle East program at Oxford Research Group and the author of The Fog of Peace. Thank you so much for joining us. Last night, these talks went on after dinner for an additional few hours. John Kerry and Mahmoud Abbas are talking again today. In your opinion, what does Kerry hope to get from Mahmoud Abbas?
Well, what does he hope to get? I think what he's hoping to do is to put a framework agreement on the table within the next few weeks. And I think the real problem here is not going to be the agreement. I think a lot of very careful work has been done on that. Kerry himself has 120 advisors and four generals working with him. And although, as you say, it's been a culture of blame and everybody speaking the language of failure, I think if he does succeed putting a framework agreement on the table, the difficulty is going to be how to sell it to the people. And in fact, amongst the Palestinians, 91% of Palestinians don't believe in the idea that there could be any kind of peace deal. And of course, at the same time, 80% actually want to live in a two-state solution. But what you've got is the consequences of endless conflict, which creates huge frustration and disillusionment, and a kind of lack of faith or belief that there can be any forward movement. And it's further exacerbated by Israel's policy of settlements, which serves to frustrate and anger the Palestinians. But nevertheless, if there is an agreement on the table, and there are many people talking about us getting that far, and I think what will matter there, what will happen, is neither side will want to be seen to be rejecting the agreement. And then there is talk about further off-the-record meetings going on for the next year. I mean, Kerry's actually kept the detail very close to his chest, and that's a good thing. But what will need to happen is, if it is an agreement that is fair enough and strong enough and offers the Palestinians the possibility of real independence and sovereignty and control over their lives, there still is the huge hurdle about how is such a deal sold. Of course, we know this is problematic on both sides, but the kind of mood amongst the Palestinians still is, when these talks fail, what will happen afterwards? Well, there is a chance that they might get somewhere, but how do you give people some hope, some faith? This will need to happen in part, in fact, everybody will play an important role in that, but maybe the Palestinian leadership will also have to start talking to its people about also some of the compromises that might need to be made. What is it in their best interest? Is this a strategic deal that they can live with? Because the consequences of no deal is pretty serious for both sides at this point.
I agree. Just very briefly, Gabriel, how exactly will the Palestinian authorities be able to sell, as you say, any negotiations that might be made to the people? What's the secret?
Well, maybe one has to. Real leadership takes courage, and you have to speak out, and you have to be very straight and direct, both what it could really mean, and what would be the losses. It's always easy to you get into a culture where you just believe things will fail. Abbas has started to talk to the Israelis. As yet, he hasn't really started to talk to his people. Perhaps we haven't got there, but it will really matter that people believe there's a future and something to buy in, and that if something is put on the table, it is more in their interest to seriously consider it than not to.
All right. Thank you so much, Gabriel Rifkin, for taking the time to speak to us here on France 24. You are the author of The Fog of Peace. Do stay tuned. We'll be back shortly with the very latest on what's been happening there in central Kiev. Do stay tuned.
Europe Now.
Welcome to Luxembourg. This is the EU's richest state, Europe's largest investment management centre. But recently, Luxembourg has come under pressure over its strict laws on banking secrecy. Local authorities say they will cooperate and improve transparency. But is Luxembourg a tax haven at the heart of Europe? We find out in Europe Now.
Europe Now, en France 24, en France24.com.